This retreat is our first opportunity to discuss substantive issues on our agenda. Our discussion in this session would focus on the role of APEC in strengthening the multilateral trading system in the current global economic situation. Before we begin our discussion, I would like to highlight a number of pertinent issues relevant to APEC cooperation and to our topic of discussion. This year, we convened APEC leaders meeting at a very critical juncture. We meet today when our region is facing critical challenges. As informed by the WTO, world trade growth in 2003 is, in 2013, is expected to stay low at around. This is below the 20-year average of 5.3%. In 2012 alone, global trade growth steeply fell to 2% from 5.2% in 2011. At the same time, we also witnessed a mixed development. Recovery among developed countries, including in Europe and North America, is showing a promising gain. Meanwhile, developing countries and emerging economies are struggling to tackle their economic slowdown. These include BRICS economies, as well as other emerging economies in Asia-Pacific and Sub-Saharan Africa. I must admit that Indonesia is also affected by this unfavorable development. We all know too well that the decline in emerging economies has generally been caused by two factors. First are internal factors, which comprise high dependence on export, large deficit in trade and balance of payment, less foreign reserve, instability of prices, and unemployment. And second are external factors, in particular, weakening global equity market and increase in the financial market volatility. Many analysts suggest that these factors mark an end to the easy money era. Other external factors that increase the volatility include unstable global food and oil prices. I believe that such a situation should be carefully managed. Otherwise, it could weaken the momentum for recovery, especially in developing countries and emerging economies. It could also impair their effort in achieving development targets as well as sustainable growth. This condition has been worsened by global financial shocks. We have expressed our concern over this development during the G20 summit in St. Petersburg last month, and many of us have discussed and decisively responded to it with bold joint measures, including policy transparency, coordination, and consultation. I believe that as we meet in Bali, this problem continues to persist, not only at the global level, but also in our region. Nevertheless, I am convinced that the role of APEC becomes even more important. In spite of uneven pace of recovery in the APEC region, the APEC economies continue to be a driving force for global growth. According to the IMF, as a group, APEC is expected to grow by 6.3% in 2013 and by 6.6% in 2014. At this challenging time, APEC economies should enhance cooperation and partnership. We should redouble effort to sustain our resilience and maintain our role as the pillar and the safety belt of the global growth. We made significant contribution to prevent the world economies from crashing during the 2008 financial and economic crisis. I believe that this time, together, the APEC economies can do the same. Your Majesty, Excellencies, let me recall the ultimate objective of why we founded APEC. APEC was created to build a region of common and sustained prosperity. In Bogor, in 1994, leaders agreed that we would achieve this objective by advancing free and open trade and investment in our region. They also talked about advancing accelerated, balanced, and equitable growth. To accelerate the attainments of this objective, and in view of the different level of development within APEC, we included technical cooperation as an important foundation of the Bogor goals. In the past 19 years, this landmark commitment has brought us tremendous progress. Today, regional trade and investment have increased significantly. This has contributed to the increase of the APEC economy's GDP, which now account for 54% of the global GDP. We have the opportunities to make a great impact on the world economy, given the size of our GDP and the amount that we contribute to global trade. Our region has also been able to increase trade volume by reducing tariff barriers significantly. In the past 25 years, since the embryonic period of APEC, average tariffs in our region have declined by close to 70%. We have also seen the cost of conducting business across borders decreased. This has opened more business opportunities and, more importantly, created jobs. Indeed, APEC's engagement with the business community have been an integral part of the APEC process. And our dialogue this morning with the business community is a testament to this. We shall consider APEC's report and its recommendations carefully in our discussion. Despite this achievement, our region still has to respond effectively to some challenges, and I do believe that we all share similar commitment to confront those challenges. This, in my view, is the very reason why we are here in Bali. First, while we have made considerable progress in attaining the Bogor goals, there remains much to be done to achieve the target of free and open trade in 2020. As we strive for the Bogor goals, we also need to ensure an open, rules-based, transparent, and non-discriminatory multilateral trading system. This multilateral trading system could serve as an essential source of sustainable economic growth, development, and stability. Therefore, during the APEC 2013, it is our primary interest to promote a thriving multilateral trading system. It is pertinent for us to reaffirm our support for the value and centrality of the multilateral trading system as represented in the WTO. Second, we continue to see differing levels of economic development in our region. We believe that every APEC economist should gain from the APEC process. Therefore, it is critical for us to achieve sustainable growth with equity. In this regard, I believe that we must attain the Bogor Goals 2020 in accordance with the win-win and equality principles. I also believe that development and technical cooperation remains essential to APEC today. And third, we have achieved significant progress in trade and investment cooperation. But now, with robust dynamisms in our region, we have even greater opportunities for achieving more productive and larger trade and investment. To seize these opportunities, our region needs to be more interconnected and interlinked. For that reason, we need to build better connectivity. With connectivity, we provide our people with greater opportunities to reap the benefits of economic growth. Eventually, they will have higher incomes, higher skills, and increased mobility. Bearing this in mind, Indonesia has taken an overarching theme of this year's APEC, Resilient Asia-Pacific, Engines of Global Growth. We share similar confidence that the resilience of the APEC region is shaped by three important pillars: attaining the Bogor goals, sustainable growth with equity, and connectivity. I do believe that we are here to renew our commitment to achieve the APEC objectives within the transformed region. And we have set the agenda of our discussion, which comprises the critical issues that we need to tackle together. And I hope after today's and tomorrow's deliberation, we could produce an outcome document that outlines our way forward and practical steps to reach our goals. We realize that there are multiple architectures of economic partnerships. Therefore, the issues discussed and decisions reached in APEC should be in synergy and complementary with those of other multilateral and regional processes. For that reason, our APEC agenda carries on some of the salient issues discussed in the G20, and many issues from our discussion will be pertinent for further deliberation in the forthcoming East Asia Summit in Brunei Darussalam.